Hello, and welcome back to Video Evidence presented by Crime Fiction Lover, the channel where we bring you real words, real books, real authors, and real people who care about them. There are certain writers we have a special affinity with here at Crime Fiction Lover, and English author Sarah Hilary is one of them. Just a few years after we launched the site, Sarah released her debut novel, Someone Else's Skin, and we sort of feel like we discovered her back then in 2014. And she's always had time for us too. We enjoyed the book, we recommended it, and we celebrated when it won the Theakston Old Peculier Crime Novel of the Year Award at Harrogate in 2015. Now, more than 10 years later, could history repeat itself? With The Drowning Place, Sarah has begun a new series set in Britain's Peak District. And because we've loved her books in the past, we're back for more. In today's video, you'll be able to listen to our review of the book by Sandra Mangan, who is known as DeathBecomesHer on the site. And after that, we've got a special reading from The Drowning Place by Sarah Hilary herself, which will give you a proper taste of what it's like. Right now, I'm going to hand it over to Sandra with the Crime Fiction Lover review.
Sarah Hilary's heady mix of razor-sharp characterisation and 4K-ready sense of place have stood her in good stead since 2014, when she debuted with Someone Else's Skin and in the process introduced London-based D.I. Marnie Rome to crime fiction lovers. We reviewed that first novel and have looked forward to the next, and the next, and the next ever since. After that series ended, she devoted herself to standalones, and damn good they've been too. Now Hilary has returned to her first love, police procedurals with a twist. You'll find no flat-footed, dour and dismally lacking cops in the pages of her books. Instead, say hello to DS Joe Ashe, a police officer with as many layers as a carefully cultivated onion. Ashe is based in Edenscar, pronounced Enska, in the Derbyshire Peak District. It's the place where he was born and brought up, and somewhere that someone with his backstory would have run far, far away from if they had any sense. The layers are about to come away one by one. The Drowning Place opens with a dramatic vignette. A bunch of Enska school children are on a coach, excitedly heading off on an educational trip, when the driver gets distracted and the vehicle and all of its passengers end up in Lady Bar Reservoir. Young Joe Ashe is the only survivor of that tragic crash. They don't call this area the Dark Peak for nothing. The fact he survived and the suspicion that Ashe sees the ghosts of his dead classmates make him a divisive member of the close-knit community. Some people want to beat him to a pulp. Others ignore him, while a sad and sorry few believe in the ghost stories and treat him as some kind of psychic medium cum therapist. Meanwhile, Ashe tries to make his peace with the dead and with himself by throwing himself into his work, peeling off another layer when we realise that the person he confides in most is Sammy, the best friend he lost in the coach crash, who haunts him still, both figuratively and literally. So we have a cop whose past won't leave him alone, and in D.I. Laurie Bauer, Hilary adds another to the mix. Bauer is an experienced police officer whose natural habitat is in the mean streets of Greater Manchester, a woman who lost her sister and blames herself for the death. She arrives on a 6-month secondment just as Joe and his fellow DS, Ted Vickers, follow up on a call about intruders at a holiday home and find an arsenal of weapons and a booby trap that nearly separates Vickers' head from the rest of his body. If she's honest, Bauer was expecting the odd bit of sheep rustling or drunken disorderly on her new patch, but this is a step up from the average bit of rural crime. And then a local couple and their baby son are killed in their home, and the community closes in upon itself, giving little away to the investigators. Suddenly, a town that has never recovered from tragedy is faced with another, and the cracks begin to show. Both Bauer and Ashe must use all of their local knowledge, guile, and street smarts if they're going to find the murderer, but help comes from an unexpected source. The Drowning Place is an intelligently plotted and hugely immersive read, with authentically rendered settings. The Peak District is a beautiful, unspoiled area that attracts countless tourists each year, but for those living there, it can be a claustrophobic, shadowy, and unfriendly place, something that the author conveys with aplomb. Hilary also creates a whole swathe of interesting characters. It didn't take me long to warm to world-weary Laurie Bauer, a feisty, clever cop whose home life is a minefield. There's a great list of supporting characters too, including the spectral Sammy. But the star of the show is Joe Ashe. Hilary portrays him as a man of contrasts. Fragile but with nerves of steel. Quiet, but when he has something to say, everyone listens. A loner, living with his ghosts and demons. Flawed cops make for a crowded field in crime fiction, but Joe is unique and I can't wait to meet him again. So, this thoughtfully plotted, surprising and occasionally moving book ticks all of the boxes, but a special mention must be made of the author's prose. I'll leave you with a line that will stay long with me. Friday dawned like a Poundland apocalypse. Hat tip, Miss Hilary.
And The Drowning Place received a crime fiction lover rating of 5 stars. You can read Sandra's review text on our site, and we've put a link to it in the description with this video. There's also an Amazon link if you'd like to grab a copy of the book straight away. But now for the main event. I'm excited to introduce you to Sarah Hilary, here to read a passage from her 10th novel.
Hello, I'm Sarah Hilary, and I'm going to be reading from my new book, The Drowning Place. This scene takes place towards the start of the story, when Detective Inspector Laurie Bauer from Salford is about to meet Detective Sergeant Joseph Ashe, born and bred in Ensker in the Peak District. The scene takes place in a deserted holiday home up by the woods, where a cache of weapons has been found, including a crossbow rigged to fire when a bedroom door was opened, and a rat left to die in a wardrobe. Powder Hill really was out by the woods, in a shadowy scrub of land where the road fell off at the foot of the trees, tarmac giving way to pine needles, an outbreak of bracken. Laurie parked behind the unmarked pool car, where police tape twitched in the breeze, the first sign of what she'd call normality since she landed. Mist everywhere, smelling dank and dangerous, not unlike the Keys on a winter's morning. Only 2 houses, neither in danger of exciting anyone addicted to property porn. She hid a shiver as she approached the fair-haired schoolboy guarding the door to number 28. D.C. Howden, D.I. Bauer. She showed her card before he could ask to see it. Is D.C.I. Saxton here? No, ma'am, just me, and D.S. Ashe. And the rat, how's it doing, do you know? It's dead, ma'am, at least, he frowned, not wanting to give a misleading answer to her question. I think so. Joe will be able to confirm. He looked about 12, with a soft round face and soft blue eyes, and was that peach fuzz on his chin? Laurie was tempted to ask Saxton if he was child snatching from the local secondary school. I'll head in, if you've no objections. Of course, ma'am. He stood aside, eyes front. Laurie slid past into the tiny cottage, overstuffed with leather sofas, its expensive floors silent under her feet. In the doorway to the kitchen, a man stood with his back to her, a shade shorter than Adam and leaner, with a narrowness that said he was pure muscle under his clothes. She'd dated a gymnast like that once. 5'10", fantastic in bed. Well, the sex had been fantastic. Afterwards, it was like trying to spoon an ironing board. D.S. Ashe? He turned, cool grey eyes fixing on her face. D.I. Bauer? He looked exactly right, in a mid-dark suit, neither bespoke nor ill-fitting. Clean-shaven, dark hair cut short, but not aggressively. Good-looking, but not head-turning, like D.S. Chaz Lester, that arrogant sod from Salford who got himself shot by a jealous husband and now worked in PR, pretending he'd taken a stand against police corruption rather than caught a bullet in his backside. Joseph Ashe looked as if bullets would bounce off him, that sleek muscle definition like body armour. Or else the bullets would halt in mid-air, Matrix style, before falling at his feet. She had never seen anyone with such striking gravity, as if he existed inside his own force field. She began to see how he might have held the whole of Enska in his thrall, even as a preteen. What was it Adam called it? Emotional contagion. She made a decision there and then to be impervious, bulletproof, the pair of them. I'm hearing something about a crossbow.
I really enjoyed that. A big thank you to Sarah for joining us. This passage gives us a great idea of what the drowning place is like, and it makes me want to hear a lot more from Laurie and her investigative partner, Joe Ashe. I love the way Laurie asks about the condition of the rat after the blast. It just sidetracks us a little and lets us know that this is a character who looks at things from unusual angles. It reminded me a little of the way the Norwegian author Jo Nesbø began his novel Phantom from a rat's point of view. But this is a different kind of book, and Sarah's technique here is a bit more subtle. Other species low down the food chain also get tiny mentions, and the idea that there are little creatures in the nooks and crannies of the rugged setting adds to the atmosphere. As we record, it's a couple of weeks since The Drowning Place launched, and it's now in the Kindle Top 100 on Amazon and has hit top spot in the gay fiction, LGBTQ+ mystery, and ghost horror categories on the site. Could it be up for a big prize? It easily could, but the main question right now is, will you be grabbing a copy? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and we hope to see you again soon here on Video Evidence.